Your mind is like the screen in a cinema show. It's changeless, it's white, it's pure, it's actionless, it's effortless, it's imperturbable. But projected on that screen can be people, fights, wars, floods, fires, riots. Now what does that do to the screen? Nothing. And it's exactly that way for us. However, if you're watching a movie and you think you are the character, that character's suffering, you're crying. Likewise, you identify with this body and all the programs you set up for it. If you don't identify with the body, if you don't identify with the screen, with the projected pictures on the screen, you discover you are the imperturbable, desireless, effortless, actionless being, just witnessing. When these things set in, you hold the sense that I have never moved. And from that point you witness the world go by. The same way you witness a moving picture. You see the entire world that way. To help you get there, I set out helpful directions in several groups that seem to group together. If you will constantly keep identifying with your beingness, you will stay in such a beautifully high state. It will help you establish it for all time. Try to keep identifying with I am. Another thing is to hold the thought I, nothing else. Because when you say I, just alone, without anything with it, it's your beingness. And when you're free, that's the sense of consciousness you have, just I all the time. As Vivekananda said, when he reached the end of the line, he discovered there never was anything but I all alone. There's nothing but I-ness. And the I-ness projected all the supposed otherness, but since it was a projection of the I, it is the I. Number 3, be not the doer. If you are identifying with your beingness, you don't see yourself as a doer. I can remember when I first started talking to people, they would say, "You're a teacher." And I'd say, "No, I'm not." They'd say, "Yes, you are." And I'd say, "No, I'm not." I could not see myself teaching, talking to anyone other than me to me. If I'm talking to me, I'm not being a teacher. So try to get the sense of be not the doer. Be the beer. That's not B-E-E-R. That's B-E apostrophe. Okay, now number 4 is a very important one. It's going to save you so much effort. There's only one single happiness, and that is when you are being your beingness, by quieting your mind in satisfying desires. It's the only happiness there is, when you're being your beingness, and you wrongly attribute it to the thing and person. So if you'll make it a habit of noticing that all the feelings of happiness you experience are when you're quiet and just being. If you will do that, you will stop chasing lifetime in and lifetime out for happiness out there where it is not. It's so important when you discover that all your happiness is when you're identifying with your beingness, because it takes the majority of effort out of your life. And when you do those things, you will identify with everyone as being you. You will identify with every atom in this universe as being you. And the real knowing is being. There is nothing to know except one thing, which is to be. Which, knowing that, you know everything. Real knowing means being. That's what everyone in his or her every act is seeking. That is the knowledge with a capital K. But that knowledge is not knowing something, it's knowing to only be. Coming down just a bit, see nothing out there but your sum total thinkingness, because that is exactly what it is. All your thinkingness, most of which is below the level of consciousness, is what you're seeing out there. It's your picture projected from your mind. And you're only seeing it in your mind. It's only your mind that says it's out there. And the proof of that is when you go to sleep. Where does the world go? It's gone. So where is it? It's in your mind. You wake up the mind, there's the world again. Put the mind to sleep, that whole world is gone. Even if you've lost a close relative, a close one, you go to sleep, that death is gone. So where is dying but in the mind? There's nothing out there but your sum total thinkingness, most of which is subconscious. When you realize that, if you don't like it out there, you change the picture in here, and the picture out there changes instantly. And as I told you, each one has his or her own picture. We all think we're seeing the same thing, but we're only seeing our own pictures. And it's brought out so succinctly in an accident which is not related to us. 5 of us look at it, we hand in 5 reports as to what happened. Can you see how distorted we get on things that concern us? We can't even see what's external, actual out there that doesn't concern us. So how accurate are we in seeing the other one's picture or what's going on? We only see our sum total thinkingness out there. If you don't like the picture out there, change yourself. What is actually out there is your beingness. The reality of the world is not world as the illusion we see it. The reality of the world is the beingness behind it. And that beingness behind the world is your beingness when you identify with your beingness. So there is, in actuality, nothing out there but your beingness. And when you see that, you see number 3 here, no objectivity, only subjectivity. Instead of seeing yourself in a body and your body in the world, the body is in you, the world is in you, and the universe is in you. Just like in a night dream, when you're sleeping. You could bring a whole trip to Mars into your bedroom there. And as far as you're concerned, you're flying to Mars. So where was that trip to Mars? But within you, in your bedroom, in your dream. It's exactly the same way in the so-called waking state. This waking state is a sleep state. Until you wake up from it, you're not aware of that fact. But as you keep releasing, someday you're going to see this state, the waking state, is as real as a night dream state is real after you wake up from it. You wake up from this dream called the waking state, then you see that this whole thing was just a dream that never really was. Aha. All that effort for nothing except misery. So your world becomes subjective. It's in you. It's not external to you. It's your creation. So, work to totally quiet the mind until there are no thoughts. The mechanism called mind changes from being a very turbulent ocean where you see waves all the time, that's the way it is now, to all the waves disappearing, all the tiny ripples disappear. Then it's a waveless ocean with no boundaries. And your mind becomes that way. Totally quiet. Not even a ripple. And when that happens, you become intuitive. From your eye, everything comes out of it anyway. The I of you, your beingness, is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. And when you quiet the mind, you naturally identify with your beingness and are intuitive only. To bring it down to practicality, when you're intuitive, you can talk to anyone on his or her subject and help them learn more, even though you have never studied it. Even details and facts. You're coming from omniscience. There was a time I did this when the first years after I got free. And it's like, see, you don't move. You watch your body like you're watching other bodies. You watch your body talk, you listen to your body talk, and you say, gee, that's interesting. See, that's the personality side of you watching the free side, the intuitive side. All study becomes useless when you're in touch with omniscience. So all these teachings of spirituality in this direction, in that direction, another direction, over the thousands of years hasn't helped much. All that teaching has activated the mind. The only answer can be gotten by quieting the mind so that you will naturally identify with your beingness. And 3, do not identify with your body and mind. Take it as a character out there. Give it its just due. Do not overdo on it. And again, you've heard me say, does this chemical have more power than I have over this body? This is the pill generation we're into now. Everything can be cured by pills. How does a pill get more intelligence than we? It's ridiculous. If it helps us, it's our intelligence saying this pill is going to do something. It's not the pill doing it, it's our saying that the pill will do it. Give the body its just due. Don't overdo with it, so that your attention can go more toward beingness. Overpaying attention to the body keeps you bogged down into being that extreme, limited carcass, which is an absolute no-win in the first place. It goes. From the moment you get it born, it starts dying, and finally succeeds in dying. So why put all that attention to it? We ought to have carcasses around so people can play with them. It might wake you up, because that body's going to be a carcass. And as I used to say, you ride around in a car. Is that you? No, that's a car case. A carcass. This is a car case. Like an automobile. You're not the automobile because you move around in it. You're not this body because you move around in it. So a car case and a carcass are very similar. So give the body its just due and spend your time identifying with yourself. Spend your time releasing the blocks to identifying with yourself. Until you end up with no attachments and no aversions. You should have things. You should have things for use, with no attachment and no aversion. And when you have no attachments and no aversions, you will have everything, or a mere effortless thought of it. So if you have any concepts of giving up on the path, there's one single thing you give up. That's your miseries, your limitations. But on the path you take on more and more and more until you have the universe. Don't allow your mind to sabotage you by saying you're going to lose everything if you go free. Don't allow your mind to sabotage you by saying, I will die if I go free. And these feelings are strong within you right now. I will die if I go free. If you didn't have that, you'd be free. You know the way. Allow all that suppressed energy up and out. If you didn't sit on it, it'd all go out and you'd be free in minutes. Don't allow your mind to sabotage you. It fights for its survival because we programmed it that way. It's like Hal the computer in the picture 2001. But since we programmed it to keep us bogged down, we can always deprogram it so it cannot touch us. So now that you've got everything, there's nothing more for me to say. Be yourself. You've got no choice on that. That's the ridiculousness of this whole world of living. You're infinite, you're omnipotent, you're omniscient, you're omnipresent right here and now at this moment. Concocting a mind which says otherwise